and welcome to Planet Pulse on Firstpost. The Earth is constantly changing, and in recent years, for the worse. Summers are getting hotter and winters harsher. Rising sea levels, floods, drought, wildfires, and torrential rain have been disrupting lives across continents. The fight against climate change is needed now more than ever. On the show, we bring you all the top stories on the climate crisis, its causes, its brutal effects, and the warriors helping to fight the menace. Punjab, the land of 5 rivers, is witnessing a devastating flood crisis. At least 37 people have been killed, more than 350,000 people affected. Thousands of homes are submerged. Over 175,000 acres of farmland is underwater. More than 1,200 villages and all 23 districts are hit. India's northern state is battling the worst deluge since 1988. Incessant rains and rising water levels in the rivers continue to keep the state on high alert. Is this nature's fury or a disaster made worse by humans? Our next report gets you all the details.
India's agricultural powerhouse Punjab is submerged underwater. Houses, schools, farmlands, government buildings are all under deluge, with rooftops barely visible. The entire state is battling a disaster. It began with relentless rain pounding the catchment areas in neighboring Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir. At first, it was just heavy showers, but soon streams spilled over, rivulets merged into torrents, and rivers roared beyond their banks. Within hours, fertile fields turned into vast lakes, and India's northern state of Punjab woke up to its worst floods in nearly 4 decades. The crisis unfolded fast, and the state moved almost immediately into rescue and relief mode. The scenes were stark and immediate on rural roads. Tractors sat half submerged, and buses were stranded with water lapping at their steps. Farmers waded through knee and chest-deep water, clutching what they could carry. Cattle, buffalo, and goats clustered on raised earth or makeshift platforms as owners struggled to keep them alive. At embankments, soldiers and villagers labored side by side, piling sandbags to hold back the water. Punjab, long known as the breadbasket of India, had vast tracts of crop plains standing in muddy water, harvests ruined where grain was nearing maturity. The human cost was heavy. Officials confirmed at least 37 people have died, and more than 350,000 residents have been affected. All 23 districts reported flood impact, and over 1,650 villages reported damage. Authorities assessed roughly 175,000 hectares of farmland as inundated, with standing paddy and other crops washed away just before harvest.
We have stayed awake all night. The water level is very bad. People took some things from their house, whatever they could. The administration has made camps for people, but we don't want to go there. Where will our cattle go?
Rescue teams worked round the clock. Army units, the National Disaster Response Force, and state agencies deployed boats and helicopters, carrying out mass evacuations. Nearly 20,000 people were moved to safety in temporary shelters. Local volunteers and village committees shored up breached embankments, ferried the elderly and children, and delivered fodder and medicines to isolated pockets. Temporary relief centers provided shelter, basic medical care, and clean water to displaced families. The state declared affected areas disaster hit and activated emergency funds and relief packages. The Punjab government released funds worth $8.55 million for 12 flood-hit districts. Sikh Gurdwaras and community organizations set up community kitchens, distributing food and fodder. NGOs and local charities supplemented official supplies. In Punjab, floods were never just natural, they were also human-made. This year, the Bakra Dam released over 75,000 cusecs of water, forcing evacuations downstream. Heavy rain in upstream areas, combined with emergency releases from Bakra, Pong and Ranjit Sagar dams swell the Sutlej, Beas, and Ravi rivers beyond capacity. And the result? All 23 districts of Punjab were officially flood hit. For many, the floods recalled the devastation of 1988, when rivers had inundated large parts of Punjab.
You can get an idea of the loss by the condition of our houses there. They are all inundated. Punjab has gone back 20 to 25 years.
Climate experts say the monsoon showered heavier and more erratic rainfall patterns consistent with a warming climate made such intense deluges more likely and harder to manage. Officials noted that timely warnings and evacuations had reduced casualties compared with the worst past events, but the economic damage remained severe. The emergency phase has now passed into a grueling recovery. Rescue was the immediate imperative, but rehabilitation will demand months. For farmers who lost crops and families who lost homes, rebuilding will be measured in seasons and livelihoods, not days.
It was once the size of a small country and twice as large as London. After drifting through the world's oceans for nearly 40 years, the planet's largest iceberg has crumbled. Scientists say the giant slab of ice, known as A23A, is breaking apart in warmer waters and may disappear completely within weeks. A reminder of how fragile even Earth's mightiest natural giants can be. Here's our report.
For nearly 4 decades, the world's biggest iceberg has been floating around like an oversized tourist with nowhere to go. But after years of drifting, getting stuck, and dodging penguins, the frozen celebrity known as A23A is finally falling apart. And scientists say it could vanish completely in just a few weeks. Back in its glory days, A23A was an absolute showstopper, weighing close to 1 trillion tons and stretching more than twice the size of Greater London. That's not just big, that's, you could spot it from space, big. Even earlier this year, it still covered 1,770 square kilometers, or about the size of Delhi and Mumbai combined. But warm water is the ultimate party pooper for icebergs. In recent weeks, huge chunks the size of entire cities have snapped off, leaving behind a trail of ice chips, some still large enough to give passing ships nightmares. Experts says it's basically rotting from underneath. In other words, A23A is melting faster than an ice cube in a hot coffee. The berg's life story is equally dramatic. Born in 1986 when it broke off Antarctica, A23A promptly got stuck on the ocean floor for more than 30 years. Imagine being grounded for 3 decades. It finally wriggled free in 2020 and drifted into Iceberg Alley, the South Atlantic's busy shipping lane. Earlier this year, the iceberg even sparked panic when it parked near South Georgia Island, threatening to block penguins and seals from their buffet lines at sea. But, like a bad houseguest, it eventually packed up and left. Since then, it's been moving north at surprising speed, sometimes 20 kilometers a day, only to be battered by waves and baked by warmer waters.
If you imagine a giant iceberg, the one we're talking about is twice the size of Greater London. They're bigger than countries, so they're massive chunks of ice that are moving through the ocean to places they weren't before. So you're putting this massive expanse of a different material into a place that has not necessarily ever had that before. So you're completely changing what's going on.
Scientists are impressed it lasted this long. Most melt quietly near Antarctica. A23A, however, insisted on a long, dramatic goodbye tour before finally calling it quits. Icebergs breaking off Antarctica is nothing new, but experts warn they're breaking away faster these days. Thanks to, you guessed it, climate change. So, farewell A23A. You were huge, you were dramatic, and you lasted longer than anyone expected. But in the fight between ice and a warming world, the result is always the same. Heat wins.
Technology has surely proven to be a boon for humankind. The same approach is being used to remove litter from Mount Everest. For years, human-caused dirt on the mountain has been overlooked, but now certain groups have taken action to bring about positive change and put efforts into cleaning up Everest. Our next report shows how drones are being used to clean the highest peak in the world.
Removing litter and rubbish from the world's highest peak is not easy. But here's what a group of climbers and drone operators did, armed with heavy-duty drones. The group took an unusual initiative, they affirmed, to clean Mount Everest using all new technology. Once a pure and blissful place, Mount Everest is now referred to as the highest dumpster in the world. This is due to the dirt caused by humans. Empty cans, gas canisters, bottles, plastic, and discarded climbing gear have often been seen lying on the mountain. 2 DJI FC-30 heavy lifter drones were deployed to Camp 1 at around 19,900 feet. The drones successfully airlifted 300 kilograms of trash during the peak climbing season in spring, which usually begins in April and ends by early June. Giving a vivid description of the idea of using these drones in the mountains, one of the climbers said the only options were either helicopters or manpower. He added that until now, there was no other option available. In between then, his team came up with the idea of using such drones to remove garbage. After the pilot testing of this project on Everest last year, the company also tested the system on nearby Mount Amadablam. There too, about 641 kilograms of waste was removed. The idea of using drones on mountains for cleanliness is being called a revolutionary drive. Interestingly, these drones are also being used to deliver essential climbing gear such as oxygen cylinders, ladders, and ropes, preventing dangerous trips across the Khumbu icefall, one of Everest's deadliest sections. Such drones increase safety for the guides as well as the porters. These powerful drones can cost around $20,000 each. They are being supplied by a China-based manufacturer to support the effort and also promote its brand. The rest of the cost has been borne by the local authorities.
We'll be supplying oxygen cylinder and medicine if needed to the expedition people who are in Camp 1, because the interesting thing is, so from base camp to Camp 1, it takes 7 to 9 hours for climbers to reach. And our drone can reach over there within 3 minutes.
So the question that arises is, are these drones more useful than choppers for such a purpose? Some Sherpas say the idea to deploy drones was effective, efficient, and much more safer. They say a drone easily carries as much garbage in just 10 minutes as 10 people would in 6 hours. Airlift technology is also planning to take the drones to Mount Manaslu, the world's 8th highest peak. New age technologies are serving as a catalyst today to preserve the environment and promote sustainable living. And drones are likely to be a game changer for climate and humanitarian purposes.
And that's it on Planet Pulse for today. We will see you again at the same time next week. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka karjo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Skali radikali.
Japanese,
4 兆ドル以上も
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish,
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select the language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.